Hey guys and girls, just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Buzzsprout. Start a podcast today with free podcast hosting for Buzzsprout, easy podcasting software for hosting, promoting, and tracking your podcast. Buzzsprout is the best way to publish a podcast online for secure and reliable hosting to full iTunes support. Get started for free, no credit card required, cancel at any time.
Stats are for losers.
That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is.
You play to win the game.
Welcome to the Airin podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Airing It Out podcast. It's your host, Dustin Marion, as always. Today, my guest is the future of racing, Elvis Rankin, aka Little King. What is going on, Elvis? And welcome to the show.
Yeah, good to be here. I'm doing really good.
That's awesome, buddy. So I wanted to ask you, Little King, is that a Elvis Presley reference or is that a LeBron James reference? Where did you get the name Little King from?
That definitely an Elvis Presley reference. I'd have to say. My dad kind of gave me the nickname off because he's kind of the king, and I was smaller, so then it was Little King. That's kind of how it grew. But eventually, I hope to outgrow it.
I know. I wouldn't. I'm sure it's not going to work out if you're in your mid-20s and they're still calling you Little King. Hopefully, they just call you the King by then.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, I seen that you were working on a book with your mom, trying to help you get that whole deal out. Tell me a little bit about the book.
Yeah, it's a one-page book of this kind of book about people's day and lives and, kind of what they do and with what their passion is. And it's something that we wanted to jump on board of because, we've wanted to write a book for a while, but we don't want to go through and write like a 200 page book that's like, so long. And we've tried to do it before and it's fallen apart in pieces, but this seemed like an easy opportunity and something to get inside a book. So had to take it for sure.
That's awesome. So who's the bigger inspiration for you? Is it mom or is it dad?
Oh, gotta be mom.
Right? She's pretty cool.
So hardworking. Doesn't want to give up on nothing. Just puts it all on the table. Doesn't want to take no for an answer for sure. Yeah, that's very similar to my mom. I was raised by a single parent and she was my rock star. Same thing, working hard, working 2 jobs to provide for us. So it's really, really awesome that you feel the same way that I do. What does mom say about racing and school? Do you have time for all of it or what? Yeah, she kind of just says, well, if you want to be a pro racing driver, you have to do your writing and your reading and, just make sure you allocate the time for it. And just, I know how bad you want to get in the car and you want to start driving and that kind of stuff, but finish your work. And, I'm really good in school. I get good grades, so that's not a problem. And I balance my time just fine. I have plenty of time to drive to get better and plenty of time, but it doesn't need help to homeschool.
Yeah, I'm sure that's awesome.
Much easier.
Yeah, it seems like COVID for a lot of people, that was kind of thrown on them. You've been homeschooled the whole entire time, even before COVID?
Oh, yeah. I've been homeschooled for about 5 years just for traveling and that kind of stuff. It's just, it helps me so much on the road. I don't, get behind and have to come back and do like triple the work. But I got a plan that's just, less work a day, but for every day of the year. So it's more for my style because I don't like to do a lot of work, but I like to do some. So it's kind of, we built it for my kind of style of learning, and it's much better to homeschool for me because, in a classroom, 20 kids or so, and you have to learn at the entire class's pace, where when you're by yourself, you can learn at your own pace. So if you pick up on this quicker, great. Compared to where if you pick up on something slower, you can take more time. So that's why I like it.
That's awesome. What's your favorite subject so far?
Math.
That makes sense, right?
Not really a nerd, but, I like the physics and just understanding numbers and that kind of stuff and work with that a lot with graphs and everything in racing. So
yeah, no,
most fun subject for me.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I kind of fall on the same thing. I'm homeschooling my kids now, and it's really interesting. They're very young, but it's interesting on how fast you can pick up on math. Some of the other subjects seem like they take a little bit more to kind of pick up when you're younger. Speaking of COVID, and I know you guys were already like prepared with the homeschooling and stuff. How has COVID affected racing, the sport, for guys like your age?
It took a big chunk for everybody else. For me, not too bad because I usually do online. So, it was fine for me. I just stuck with that and had really good success now. So I finally seem to catch my stride and starting to understand the physics and that kind of stuff. And the COVID, obviously, for a lot of people, it's taken them one step back, and it honestly might have put us 2 steps forward. So that's, and some people see it as, sometimes, yeah, it does. But for us, I think it really put us maybe just a tiny bit more forward than back.
That's amazing. So, but besides, having to deal with that and obviously potentially getting a leg up on everybody, were there any other obstacles that you had to go through trying to get into racing, going through the racing field and all that kind of stuff?
Yes, there's obviously big, kind of these travel restrictions and all that stuff. So we've had to do 1 or 2 races in the travel. I mean, it's miserable going across the country. I'll tell you, it's not enjoyable. But no, the restrictions for the track, it wasn't actually that bad. You just had to wear, the usual face mask and just be careful. And thankfully, when you don't have to wear a face mask inside the helmets, that's all. Us, you get a little bit of claustrophobia, but not as bad as with a mask.
Yeah, no,
I'll say
it was tough for me. The mask thing, I know we're trying to be safe and everything like that, but having that on your face for a few hours a day definitely makes you feel like you're kind of closed up.
Yeah, not fun.
So I was checking out your YouTube.
Tight space, not good.
Oh my gosh, I could only imagine. Inside for you guys, it's a smaller car too, right? So the cockpit is a little tighter as well.
Yeah, it's a little smaller. Obviously, it's a open cockpit, so your head's outside. So it's not that bad, but usually in at least racing, it's outside, so it's in an open space. Where it's like basketball or football, it's in a compact area, so that's not as fun.
That's awesome. I was checking out your YouTube channel, and I was reading a little bit on your bio saying that you use, the simulations and games to kind of give you an advantage. How much does that help you in racing?
Too much.
Really?
It's the hugest help, because for me, it's what's going on. And if you can get on a track, because obviously nowadays you can pay so much money that you don't even think you have or know. So much money to get on the track and actually test and learn the track at the track, that the simulator elevates it to another level, because you can get on the track whenever you want, wherever you want. You can go anywhere in the world, that kind of thing. And it's just been so helpful for me. And I've used it for the past couple of years, and it's just taking my driving from way down here to up here. And it helped me so much. So
is the simulator similar to like a video game kind of deal, or is it a little bit more complex? Talk to me about the differences between the simulator and like me playing, Gran Torino to try to learn tracks.
So the difference is when you play Gran Turismo, and then on Xbox you have a controller. Mm-hmm. With this, we have an actual steering wheel. It gives us a certain amount of force, so we can feel something called force feedback. So all the forces that you'd feel from the actual steering wheel, like driving your car, we get delivered through the steering wheel. The pedals, instead of like just a couple triggers on a controller, actual 3-pedal setup with hydraulic brakes, so you get that nice brake feeling, and the no latency, no delay, none of that. And it's basically as close you can get to actually getting in the car.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was seeing a couple of them. You had like some of the turns nailed down and all that stuff. Before you race, do you normally simulate the track or not really, or it just depends?
It depends what I'm doing it for. So if I'm, going to a track I've never been to, usually I'll hop on the track. I'll do a couple laps. I want to figure out where the turns go. I want to figure out, okay, there's a bump here I need to be aware of. There's a high curb here that you don't necessarily want to climb, and just the tiny little details that save you so much time when you actually get to the track, instead of having to go out for your first couple laps and say, okay, this, you already know. So then you can get more information and more information. So yeah, I do indeed jump onto a couple laps if I'm going to a track most of the time. The car is super hard to simulate, because sometimes, they have it really dialed in, but just they're missing just that tiny little bit. So, just finding the tracks are dialed in 100% though for me, and I can learn a lot about the tracks.
That's pretty awesome. And so all of these tracks are pretty much all set up to the simulation within the, the leagues that you're in?
Yeah, about 90% of the racetracks around the world, famous I should say, are in iRacing, the platform I use. That's
amazing. That's so cool. Now, so you said, mom is a great inspiration. What got you into racing?
It's a long story. So before I was born, when my grandma and my grandpa had my mom, my grandpa always wanted to kart. When he was growing up, he always wanted them. He was karting, and he wanted my mom and her brother to kart. So my grandma had none of it. She wouldn't let him kart, none of that. So I come around. I'm pretty sure my mom would tell you it was 2 hours in life that I was alive. My grandpa asks her, "Are you going to let her kart?" And she said, "We'll see." And then a couple of years later, found what was called a quarter midget at a motorhome show. My grandpa found it, and my mom thought it was safe enough. So then we tried. I couldn't stop. I mean, I was having too much fun doing it, and the rest is history for me. And my grandpa, if it wasn't for my grandpa, I wouldn't be here today where I am.
That's amazing. So instantly you fell in love once you got behind the steering wheel and got all that going with the kart.
Yeah, the person who owned the car said one of three things was going to happen. Number one is he's just going to refuse to do it. He won't do it. Number two, you're going to get him in the car. You're going to put everything on, and he's just going to say no because he has the belts are so tight and then everything like that. Or number three, he's going to get in the car. He's going to start driving. He's going to love it. And I remember somebody told me from when I was driving, I wouldn't stop. So the guy who owned the car is like, well, it will run out of fuel and it won't go anymore. So we might have to wait for that. But I just had so much fun with it.
Yeah, no, it seems like a lot of fun. I've never been on a track per se, but there's times on the highway that I enjoy going fast. It seems like going fast is a lot more fun than going slow. So I get it. Especially I'm in California, so people drive really fast over here. So that's pretty awesome. So I also noticed you got obviously you love simulating, you play games, you snowboard. Besides simulating racing, what other kind of games do you play, or are you just all business?
No, I definitely have a little bit of a kid side, I guess you can say. I do a lot of just train games with my friends sometimes. When something gets a little boring, something you either finish a big race or you finish doing a bunch of practice and you just want to just relax out. So I usually go to gaming, and I go to streaming, I guess you could say. And I just chill out with my friends. I just enjoy myself. I play Call of Duty, those kind of games, the kind of trend games you could say. And I just have fun with it and really just chill out, relax with people. And that's how I kind of find my happiness outside of racing nowadays. Did
you pick up the new COD?
Of course.
What did you think? A lot of people said that the multiplayer was better than the last one.
I actually didn't play multiplayer last one. I only played the free version, but I think it's fun. I like to play with a couple of teammates, some of my friends, and I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I got to pick up a copy. I usually play COD a lot. It's a lot of fun. A little bit on the violent side, but definitely strategy and, a lot of things are going on. It's a lot different than playing the computer.
Oh, yeah, I think a lot of things about the video games, a lot of parents and people don't understand. There's a lot of people just see their kids just playing a game, pretty much. But there's a lot of that. There's, strategy. There's, each game has their own kind of aspect. Some games are strategy, some games it's a story, some games, and it's all just about. And actually, I read an article once about that military people were playing video games to build reflex times and that kind of stuff because it's really good for that. And that's kind of how I looked at games. Is I've not looked at the games as like having fun. Yes, that's one part of it, but also you're doing something else besides playing the game.
Yeah, no, trust me, I get stuck in those things, and it's awesome, and it definitely seems like a simulation. You get all nervous, palms sweaty, you get anxious, It's good times. I definitely enjoy it. So besides COD, just all first-person shooters? Is that usually the one?
No, COD's the only first-person shooter I played. We've done. Let's see. We've played a lot of games. We've done Fall Guys. We've done Among Us. What other games? We've done Rocket League before.
How did you like Among Us?
We've done a lot of games. Among Us. You know, we did it with some of our sim team teammates, and you get to know people a lot better. We realized instantly as soon as we played, because if someone says something in the current world that we're in now, we can change. You can hear how they're saying it differently. They'll mumble, or they'll do something. You'd be like, "You're kind of lying, aren't you, buddy?" You pick up on people a lot faster. But some of the people don't like that. But I loved it. I mean, I played Among Us a long time.
Yeah, did you play the first copy or the second copy or both?
I've only played the first copy. I did not know there was a second copy.
Isn't that Among Us? I thought was that kind of like end of the world zombie apocalypse kind of game, right? Or am I confusing it?
It's a game with 10 people, and they're on a spaceship.
Okay.
And there's going to be or 3 person that are called the imposters. It's basically like what's the game called? I'm trying to remember. Murder Mystery, I think it's called.
Okay, I got you.
I forget what they call it. Something like that. And the objective is if you're a crewmate, I guess you could call it, or the innocent people, your job is to either complete your tasks, and if you finish all the tasks, then you win, or you find out who the imposters are, and you vote them out. Where flip side, if you're the imposters, your objective is to kill everyone, and then you win.
Gotcha. Now I think I know the game. I think the cover has like a werewolf character on the cover of the game. I think I was confusing it with a different one. So obviously you got it pretty dialed, my friend. You make time for school, you make time for racing, you have time for your friends. You sneak in some snowboarding too, I see. How do you like snowboarding? Is that probably number 2 or is it number 3 of the faves of things to do?
It's been a while, man. It has been a while. I don't live in the mountains anymore. I live in the desert. So
okay.
You know, I used to snowboard, shred some pow whenever I could. I enjoyed it, but then 2016 we went on this big tour, and ever since then I've not really gone up to the mountain and actually snowboarded. So. I mean, it's something I've enjoyed doing. I enjoyed doing it for a long time, but not done it in a while.
Yeah, I went up one time to Colorado and I snowboarded. It was a lot harder than it looks. It looks really easy.
You know, there's a good person. My mom, she just said, "I can't do that, man." But me and my dad have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of like a bunny slopes kind of guy because, man, if you take a tumble, it kind of hurts. The snow up there is kind of hard after a while, especially when it's cold outside.
It's a little icy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little hard.
Yes, it is. It is a little hard. I heard that apparently Utah has like great places to snowboard, but I haven't had a chance to get up there yet.
Yeah, I've only been to Copper Mountain and Aspen a couple times. I only kind of go up in that area.
No, that's great. So basically, so speed is your thing, because I think you go really fast on a snowboard. Apparently, that was one of my biggest fears when I was getting on it. My legs started shaking. Is it something for you that you just been doing it for a while, and speed is just something that you're comfortable with?
Yeah, I guess you could say I'm kind of comfortable with that kind of stuff. I wouldn't necessarily like an adrenaline junkie, but just, you like that. I like that kind of feeling, I guess you could say. I don't go and do, skydiving or stuff that's like top of the list adrenaline stuff. But I do I think the mid tier kind of stuff and the stuff that has speed, I do indeed enjoy. So yeah, I guess that's kind of what I do.
So when you were talking about that feeling, when you get behind the car, do you get nervous? Do you get anxious before a race? What are some of the things that go on in your mind? Nothing. So you're cool as a cucumber behind the steering wheel.
A lot of people, I can maybe sometimes get nervous, up till then, I tend to sometimes overthink stuff. But usually, just I want to get there as soon as possible. I want to just get in the environment. And then once I'm usually in the environment, fine. But if somehow not, as soon as get in the car, start the engine, nothing.
Wow, that's awesome.
all fine.
So now, being that you're doing the simulator, you're racing big time, you're winning all of these awards. Do you ever watch any racing movies, or do you have any favorite racing movies that you enjoy to watch?
Racing movies?
Like movies about race cars or race car drivers.
Well, Cars was a good series. I've seen that before. I don't go and watch like a bunch of movies. Honestly, I'm not a big movie guy. But I've seen Cars. I've seen these F1 DVDs. I don't know if but they basically, maybe it's kind of a movie, I guess you could say. It's like a season review. So it's that year and the best moments from 21 races in about 4 hours. So
wow.
It's really good.
And it has like multiple camera angles and all that stuff where you get to kind of see maybe behind the driver and also the tracks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is that something that you enjoy more, like Formula One versus like NASCAR, because the hood is open?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. For a long time, I did ovals, and I was a fan of NASCAR. I saw Formula One. I did road course for a little bit briefly, and then jumped on the sim. And road course was kind of the main thing that they did. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to try and get really good at it. And I found out that I actually enjoy driving road course twice as much as I did oval. So that's kind of what I set my life to now. It
kind of gets boring, right? Going in a circle for so many laps? Or not? A
lot of people say that. It doesn't. No.
Okay.
I just chose road kind of because it's, I kind of see them as two different ball games, and oval, it's super consistent. You need to find those marks and you need to hit them every single lap. Where on road course, it's kind of, every corner, you need to approach it differently mentally. Some corners have, sharper, some of them are longer radius wise, and it's all just approaching them differently mentally for me and just approaching them how I can get through the corner the best. And consistency, something you need, but it's less important on road course. It's, you can make one or two mistakes maybe in a lap and still be okay, I guess you could say.
On the oval or the road course?
Road course. Gotcha.
Now, both oval and road courses, obviously you have to pit the vehicle, correct? Am I saying that right? So now, that's a little bit out of your control. Have you been fortunate to have some really good pit crews that kind of get you, ready to go and back onto the track as fast as possible? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. The teams I've gotten to work with throughout my career always been good on the feedback side. If we've ever had problems, we've gotten cars out super fast, and we are really good at that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
Really fortunate to be with great people.
No, that's always good, man. You got to surround yourself around a good cast. Now, when you're going, what's the top speed that you normally hit when you're driving with the hood down?
The fastest I've ever gone in one of those kind of Formula open wheel cars, I'm going to say is about 130 miles an hour.
Okay. And so I'm sure you're like, do you keep an eye on tire wear and tear, or is that just something that the pit crew is keeping an eye on and you're just focusing on driving?
I've not driven a car yet where that's the major concern.
Okay.
But yes, if there is ever a time where I'm concerned about tires, about tire degradation, as we call it in racing terms, I will definitely bring something up.
Now, do you have a lot of the stuff that I'm telling you is based on me watching films about racing. Do you also have somebody in your ear when you're racing as well, or no? It's just you by yourself in the vehicle.
So on ovals, you do. You have somebody which we call a spotter. So he basically is your eyes outside the car. He can see more than you can. So he can see who's where and kind of coach you through, I guess you can say, the kind of racing. On the road course, don't really have that. But a fun fact, in the sim racing world, we do. We have our teammates. So all the people I'm racing against in my ear. So that's fun. That's a fun aspect.
There's got to be.
You're racing someone for the win and you're just talking to them casually. Why'd you hit me? Oh, I don't know. I accidentally did it.
Right. And that's, like with the rubbing and all that stuff, even at guys your age, you're bumping into vehicles and stuff like that, and they're niching you, trying to get the lead and stuff?
I necessarily don't do that. I try, and whenever I make my passes, I make them clean. There's sometimes, yes, I make an error too. Everyone's human, so I make an error too. And just get into someone maybe, did it. Everybody does it at some point. So I've done it a couple times. I usually try to, review it and see what I'm wrong and try and not do it in the future, because I know that nowadays, people are not, I guess you could say, as much watching you. So you can make those rookie mistakes, you can make those bad calls and stuff like that, and you can kind of get away with it under the radar. But then when you come to the spotlight, it's just any tiny mistake, everyone's watching it. And then you got to deal with all that kind of stuff.
Whether you're on an oval or a road course, is it usually the opportunity to take the lead in the race? So not specifically the lead, but to take the angle. Is it usually on turns? Is that the opportunity to kind of pass drivers?
Most of the time.
Okay.
Most of the time, I will, whenever I try and set up a pass, I usually try and actually, a little psychology is I try and think 2 steps ahead. So if I try and do this, I'm going to respond with this, then what do I do? So then you always, before I ever go for moves, I always think, okay, I like to either think it can be up to 10 corners ahead, a lap ahead. I always want to know what I'm doing and where I need to be in the right spot. So whenever I go and set up passes, I always want to make sure you could run out of that corner right before and then set up good to where I can get to X spot into the corner to try and make the pass.
No, that's awesome. Sounds really sounds like a lot of fun, man. I got to get myself behind a wheel. Hopefully when COVID opens up, maybe I can go visit a couple of these places and try my luck. It seems, like I said, I like driving fast, so maybe I can have some fun. I don't know if I'm going to have as much success as you, but maybe my time has passed. It always seems like even when I play it on a video game, driving is hard, especially at some of those speeds. I was checking out some of your YouTube videos too. When it comes to downshifting and shifting up and kind of managing those turns and all these other things, is it something that you had to learn or you picked up on your own?
Something you have to learn for sure. So I kind of use the quote unquote unique style of shifting. Whenever you think of shifting fast, you think of something called heel and toe. So you have your 3 pedals. You're going to come into the braking zone. Mm-hmm. You got your brake. Actually, no, wait a minute. It'll be like this. You got your brake. And then you're going to slide your foot over like this.
To gear shift?
Throttle like that.
Wow.
So on the Sim, the car that I have to, I guess you can say, manually shift like a H pattern gearbox and clutch, like kind of that, upshifts and downshifts. On the Sim, you don't have to heel and toe. Now, since I am a little young and I have small feet, I can't really heel and toe. So I have to come up with my own unique ways to shift. So obviously in the upshifts, it's still the normal, throttle and clutch out. But on the downshifts, I'll just keep my foot on the throttle and brake, pushing the throttle, go down there. And that's always worked for me. It was definitely a learning curve because you have to get the timing just right to get it to stick in the gear. But with practice and plenty of races like that, I've done over like 50 races like that, and I've learned to use the style and understood it.
Well, that's awesome. I know that you're pretty busy. I'm sure you got to get back to some simulating or whatever it is you got going on. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I wanted to give you an opportunity maybe to give a shout out to some of your sponsors.
Yeah, so our esports racing team, Airin Race Team, we are going for a good 2021 season. AirinRaceTeam.com is where you can kind of find us. Our sponsors for our team, HPP, pedals, and timing. Kind of our secret weapons, I guess you could say, that give us our equipment and make us as fast as we are. Scott and his kind of management team, I don't know if he wants to pipe up on that and kind of explain a little bit more about that.
What do you think, Scott? I want to give a little bit of love to your guys?
Yeah, sure. Love it. With our big future next year, going to whatever, if it's F4s or F2000s, we're always looking for sponsors, corporate sponsors. I know Elvis is a great asset to anybody. We just appreciate any opportunities. If they need any questions about sponsorship, you can direct them to me at Scott Marshall at Sports Management Worldwide, or you could also give me a call at 949-698-2650. I have some idea sponsorships, but, we're always open to get them back in racing. That's why we wanted to reach out to your show and what the possibilities are. And moving forward in 21, we're excited to get Elvis behind the wheel. When he does have races out in California, he could be my guest.
Oh,
come on now.
That's
Check it
awesome.
out.
I can't wait. Hopefully everything kind of sorts itself out, Elvis, and I get a chance to watch you do your thing on the track. If anybody's wondering when this young man is going to be in your neck of the woods, you can check him at www.elvisracing.com. You can also look him up on Facebook at Elvis Rankin Racing, and then your YouTube channel is Elvis King, right? Or Elvis Jr.? Elvis TV. Yes. Well, guys, thank you guys.
And then actually
go ahead, tell me. Oh, Twitch. What's your Twitch handle?
Twitch.tv/Elvis Live TV. If you want to catch me live, I stream the online racing.
Wonderful. Well, guys, thank you guys so much. Elvis, I appreciate you taking time coming out. You look great in the Superman shirt. God bless. Break a leg in your future races. I hope you have a problem trying to stack all your trophies. And Scott, thanks so much for coming out and hanging with us as well.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Dustin.
All right, brother.
Thank you, Dustin.
You guys take it easy, and we'll be in touch, guys. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you again.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah.